Drop the link. Let us share.
Hey, pretty lady, you tell yourself that you'll never make it. Drown yourself in lies and your illusions. Don't you know that what you think is who you are? Hey, pretty lady. Hey, pretty lady, you tell yourself that you'll never make it. Drown yourself in lies and your illusions. Don't you know that what you think is who you are? Hey, pretty lady. Hey, pretty lady, you tell yourself that you'll never make it. Drown yourself in lies and your illusions. Don't you know that what you think is who you are? Hey, pretty lady. Hey, pretty lady, you tell yourself that you'll never make it. Drown yourself in lies and your illusions. Don't you know that what you think is who you are? Hey, pretty lady. Hey, pretty lady, you tell yourself that you'll never make it. Drown yourself in lies and your illusions. Don't you know that what you think is who you are? Hey, pretty lady. Hey, pretty lady, you tell yourself that you'll never make it. Drown yourself in lies and your illusions. Don't you know that what you think is who you are? Hey, pretty lady. Hey, pretty lady, tell yourself that you'll never make it. Drown yourself in lies and your illusions. Don't you know that what you think is who you are? Hey, pretty lady. Hey, pretty lady, you tell yourself that you'll never make it. Drown yourself in lies and your illusions. Don't you know that what you think is who you are? Hey, pretty lady. Drown yourself in lies and your illusions. Don't you know that what you think is who you are? Hey, pretty lady. Hey, pretty lady, Tell yourself that you'll never make it. Drown yourself in lies and your illusions. Don't you know that what you think is who you are? Hey, pretty lady. Hey, pretty lady, you tell yourself that you'll never make it. Drown yourself in lies and your illusions. Don't you know that what you think is who you are? Hey, pretty lady. Hey, pretty lady, you tell yourself that you'll never make it. Drown yourself in lies and your illusions. Don't you know that what you think is who you are? Hey, pretty lady. Hey, pretty lady, tell yourself that you'll never make it. Drown yourself in lies and your illusions. Don't you know that what you think is who you are? Hey, pretty lady.
Hello, everyone. Hi there. This is Powder Room. Glad to have you all join us today. And I'm sure you're surprised to see me starting the show today. I am C, the strategist. And welcome again to the Powder Room. Special welcome to our first timers and many thanks to our regulars for joining us again. How's the week been? I hope great. So let me just say what we usually say about the Powder Room. The Powder Room is a private space in a public place where you can let your hair down, have honest conversations, gain uncommon sense, and get yourself together to face the world with truth, tact, and tenacity. So we started this show some weeks ago. This is our 8th edition, and I'm not here alone, okay? And of course, I didn't throw Kara away, she's here. So I'll be introducing Kara the Wordsmith, Ruthie the Prof, and Casey the Realist. Hello, guys.
Hello, Jesse.
How are
Good
you?
to see you. Good to see everyone.
Yeah.
see
Everyone is looking so nice. Wow. All this
Thank
dressing
you.
up for the Powder Room. Wow, they're special out there. Okay, so today, last week we did the relationship audit, and during the week, I got some feedback about, some people's audits and what actions they've taken. Very interesting feedback we've received so far. So today is like another relationship audit, but a different one. It's to be or not to be. Very interesting. Special edition for the singles. We're talking about how to choose a life partner, right? And deciding whether to go ahead or not to go ahead. So it's to be or not to be. Now, apologies, Ada the Sage is not with us today because she has some things to attend to, but by God's grace, she'll be joining us next week. So on the topic to be or not to be, it's about whether this relationship that you're in, talking to you, should be or not be. And then the way we're addressing it is that we're going to, share different attributes and vices. So each of us would have something to say, and we're doing like a list of 5, okay? So what are the things that a lady should be to be the right partner? What are the things a lady should not be? What are the things a guy should be? What are the things a guy should not be? Okay, so we're going to start with Ada, the sage. She's going to say 5 things to be for the guys. So just hold on and I'll just play her video. But before then, hey, I don't really think I've really heard your voices one after the other. Do you want to say something about your week? say something to our viewers, each of you, while I get Ada's video ready. Okay, Casey.
What do you want us to say? Ada, are you there? Kara, are you there?
Okay.
Is that what you want us to say?
Yeah, you can say that.
Yeah, it's good to see everyone, and especially our viewers, you know, that sit in week after week to follow. We really do hope we've been adding value to you. Yeah.
Thank you.
And of course, to my sisters, you've been adding a lot of value to me. So even if I wasn't on the show, it's been a great learning period for me. So Kara.
Hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Kara, we can hear you.
Yeah, okay. So that's all I'm going to be saying. Can you people hear me? Can you hear me? Not are you there?
That sounds very familiar, Kara. Some meetings that we have on Zoom when people are having internet issues. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Can you see my slides?
I tell you, it's the new normal. Can you hear me? It's the new normal.
It is, it is. Okay, I'm sure we're going to hear Ada right now. She's going to tell us 5 things to be for the guys. So ladies, listen and, you know, get your notepads and pens. If the guys doesn't have these 5 things, then you need to check again. Let's hear from Ada.
Hi viewers, this is Ada the Sage. I apologize that I can't join the live show this Saturday, but rest assured I will be back next week Saturday with my proverbs. Today's topic is to be or not to be, and I will be dropping my 2 cents on 5 things that I think every man should be. After 10 years plus of marriage and after interacting with diverse kinds of people, there are certain things that for me are qualities that will stand any man out from the pack. First, every man must be a leader. John Maxwell, one of the authorities in the space of leadership globally, wrote a book called The 5 Levels of Leadership. He identified 5 levels, and everyone, he said, starts off at the bottom, but everyone should aim to get to the top. If there's any group of people who need to mine these skills, it's the men folk, but also the women. But I'm saying that because the major demand every woman will place on her husband or her man is leadership, every man should have this. According to John Maxwell, every man starts off at the level of right, and that is the right that people follow you because they have to. They don't have a choice. You're the husband. She has to marry. She's married to you. She has to respect you. But that is not the good place to always remain. Every man should aim to get to the top. At the top of it, you have respect, and that is where people follow you because of who you are and what you represent. It's not just enough to just say, "Oh, I am the man." Are you providing leadership in the relationship? You see that being the head isn't just something that we mouth. It is something that is action based and action oriented. In the head lies the eyes to see, the mouth to speak, the ears to hear, and even the nose, housing the nostrils that take in air that keep the body alive. While I will describe the woman as the neck. A man is meant to inspire confidence in the woman that he is leading. Gone are the days where you just say, "I demand that you submit to me. I demand that you respect me because I'm your husband." Have you shown the lady, have you shown your wife that your leadership is undisputed? Do you take the lead, or you scamper behind her when the real issues come down to when we break down the real issues? So every woman wants a man who will put his head forward and lead his home. That is a major thing women are looking for. We want a big, strong guy, not physical strength, but we want a man who has paid the price to develop himself. The second thing that women want a man who is sensitive. Sensitivity to her needs, sensitivity to the fact that she is a woman. I see that a lot of times, a lot of men do not take out the time to understand this complex being called a woman. They just feel that everything has to be logical. It's not always that way. Women are people who like to talk and discuss. They say that every day men have, say, 3,000 words. They expend 99% of it at work, and women have the same amount of words, but they expend only 10% of it at work. And so they come back home and there's a mismatch. A woman is looking for an outlet. A lot of times when women speak, it's not because they want to be fixed. It's just because they want to be heard and listened to. How do you think you can actually pour in water into a container that is full? Many times women's hearts are full, are burdened because of the pressures of life, pressures of motherhood, of running the home, and of just being a wife to a man. What she needs a lot of times is a listening ear, an outlet where she can empty out all that is in her heart. And then when you are now advising or saying or giving or talking to her, she can receive what you're saying. Women many times don't want to be fixed. They just want to be listened to. They want a man who is sensitive. I've told a lot of people, when a lady, you ask a woman what's wrong, how genuine are you asking? Are you when you're asking those questions? So the lady isn't looking happy. You ask her the first time and then you give up. A lot of times you need to keep probing. But are you probing because there's an immediate need you want her to satisfy? Sometimes it could be, she's a wife. You want sex. She's not happy. So you try to ask her, pretending that you're genuinely concerned. But that's because you have a need, or you want her to make a meal for you, or there's something you want her to do. It's tied to something. It doesn't always have. And once it doesn't always have to tie to something. And once she sees that there's always a need attached to your niceness or your kindness, she just shuts you out. So women want men who are sensitive and who are very tender when dealing with them. The third thing that I think every man must be a good communicator. I see that in this generation, I hear a lot of young guys, and I also have a younger brother who always tells me, how are we going to marry girls? Get married in this time, because most girls don't want to marry guys who don't have money. And I said to him, the same way I say to all the other young guys, that this issue you guys are facing, you guys are not the first. You're not the first people to go through this challenge. When my husband, in his own times, in those days when they were also chasing us, they didn't have anything. We all, as ladies, had the opportunities to go with ready-made guys or with guys who were just starting. I am glad I chose a man who was just starting out life, and I'm so proud of what we have built together. But what was the thing that knocked out every other competitor? When my husband was coming for me, the guy knew how to sell his vision. I don't understand how a guy cannot effectively communicate what his intentions for a woman is, what the future holds for them. You cannot put a picture. You must be able to paint a picture of that desired future in the woman's eyes and in her mind, and help her see the role that she will play and why you need her. I cannot overstress this thing. Verbal communication, visual communication, non-verbal communication, every man must be it, and you must be a good salesman. If not, you can't compete. So you are not the first set of people who are having economic challenges. Nigeria's economic situation has always been a constant, but guys who know what they want and know how to effectively paint a picture of their future, even though it is not currently their experience, in a woman's mind, will get the woman of their dreams. The third thing I would say is women want men who are generous. When we hear generosity, we always think that it's about money, but that is the least. The money part becomes an expression of what is really inside you. A man who is large-hearted, a man who is forgiving, a man who has embraced this woman with all of her faults, all of her shortcomings. That is what I mean by generosity. So a generous person is a giver. You are willing to give of yourself, give your time. When your time and your whole life is laid down for the lady, is it money that you can't give? So don't get me wrong. I know that a lot of things have gone wrong over the time, but that doesn't take away the fact that if you're a large-hearted man, this part of money just becomes, part of the flow. I know that in Igbo, we always say, the beauty of a man is his pocket. But it's in a way, it is true, but I'm just trying to say that the foundation of generosity is the largeness of the heart, is the fact that you've given your all. And once that is given, when you've given yourself to that person, when you have allowed your vulnerability, you've allowed yourself to be vulnerable to your wife or to the woman in your life, giving her anything becomes the least. After all, you can't love this. The Bible, for example, the Holy Book would say that love the woman the way you love yourself. so if you love yourself, and if you love the woman the way you love yourself, I don't think there's anything that you can't give her. And then the last point I would make is that women want a man who is independent. Women want a man that can think for himself. Women want a man that says yea and it is yea. He says amen and it is amen. Women do not want men who are susceptible to every whims and caprices. We throw tantrums a lot, but you see, we test to see whether it's a mushy ground, and it's where we can, step around and do funny things. Women want a man who says this is the direction that we're following. He's determined and he's fixated on the position or the direction he wants the family to take, but he's flexible in his approach. And that flexibility is where he brings his wife on board. He seeks her opinion, he seeks her advice, but his eyes are on the vision. We want men who are independent of their families. They love their families, but they know the place of their wife and they know the place of their family. A woman wants to be sure that she's not in competition with any other person in your life, be it your mother, be it your sister, be it your cousins, and they want that point made clear to every member of the man's family. And it is possible that it can be done respectfully. If you doubt me, come and ask me. So I think I would stop here for now. I wish I was on the live show so that we could really delve a little more into this topic, but that's my 2 cents for now. Thank you.
Wow. Ada,
Wow.
we really wish you were on the live show. Wow. Lots of wisdom in there from Ada the sage. And let me just quote one of, let me just bring up one of her quotes. The foundation of generosity is the largeness of the heart. So guys, is there anything Ada has said that looks like an impossible, thing to achieve? It's not impossible. These are basic attributes, and I don't think any woman will be asking too much to have it. So next, we're going to hear 5 things not to be for the guys, and it will be Ruthie, the prof, to share with us. What are the 5 vices that if you see in a man, you should run, take to your heels? Over to you, Ruthie.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Okay, this is Ruthie, the prof, to come and make an attempt to give an exhaustive list. But what I would say is that there are lots of things that we could share. And first of all, I'll start with saying that the things that Ada has shared, when you think about it, if a man is not any of those things, those are the things to run away from. So she has given enough detail about those particular attributes on leadership, on sensitivity, and all that. And one of the things that you will note with all those things that guys should be is that there's largeness involved in it. And so when you see it, you talk about generosity, you see largeness. You talk about sensitivity, you see accommodation, so there's largeness. You talk about leadership, is talking about largeness. So when we're looking at the vices, you have to start looking out for someone who is really small, myopic, and I will start with, the first thing I will start with is saying, one of the vices to look out and run away from is if a man is petty. And what does petty mean? When you're unduly concerned with, trivial matters, you're majoring on the minors and minoring on the majors. Well, so when there's something significant to do, the man is not really involved or doesn't talk about it. But when it comes to some issues, some little issues, unimportant things, you see him trifling. Please run away from that kind of thing, because it looks like the person cares about things, but he cares in an unkind way. Did you get that? It looks like the person cares about things. When a man is petty, when he talks about almost everything, you've done, if he sees this, he's always picking on you. He's always pecking on you. That is usually a characteristic or an attribute to run away from. The second thing I would say is when somebody is malicious, please run away. When somebody's attitude, we've heard a lot of stories about men doing some strange things. To be malicious is that when you seek to do something to harm someone. We heard a story about a guy who did a lot of harm. He killed his girlfriend or the mother of his children. He did a lot of harm to her. And that is out of a heart of malice. Sometimes it's not that extreme. Sometimes it starts with subtle things. This person wants to make people suffer. He wants to harm you, either harm you individually or harm your reputation or just do something. So maybe you did something to the guy and he doesn't forgive you. A malicious person is unforgiving. He doesn't have a large heart. He doesn't have a room to forgive. He doesn't have room to let go. Those kind of things, run away from it. We should be quick to forgive. We should be quick to let go. And if somebody is not quick, if somebody keeps on remembering wrong, if somebody keeps on having record of wrong, that's maliciousness. And it is very, very dangerous. And one thing I need to note is that sometimes you might think maliciousness has to do with causing harm alone to your physical being. But sometimes it comes across as causing harm to you, your reputation, that's causing you embarrassment. So when somebody wants to come around and maybe shout at you outside, or is always talking down at you, and it's coming out of you, you can actually see the vile hate in the person's expressions. Please run away. That's a big vice. Malice is a no-no. It's opposite of love. And one of the major commands of men is to love. And so once you don't see that, please run away. Another vice, not attribute, is when somebody is undisciplined. Let me explain. When someone does not have restraint, when somebody can't hold back, he can't keep to some certain boundaries, he can't keep to some certain rules, that needs to be checked. You know, a lot of women, we come out, we say, I didn't know he's going to be like this. I didn't know things. But you know, those signs show when someone does not keep to, maybe he doesn't keep to commitments, he doesn't keep to promises, he just tell you, he doesn't keep his word and all those things. He lacks the discipline. And sometimes it can also be expressed in when somebody cannot control their behavior, their actions. And I could also say it can spill into some of the ways to indiscipline is expressed is when somebody can't hold back, can't control their emotions, and they are hot-tempered. You know, so it can spill over to that. That's part of what, you know, lack of self-control can result in. And so unfaithfulness comes out of that kind of vice and all that. So the signs are usually there in some subtle things. So watch out for that. The next two I'm going to say has to do with, you know, the person's, sometimes it's not something that they usually attribute to men, but I want to say that this is an attribute that you really need to look at. And if someone is not unhomely, that's the fourth I'm going to mention. If someone is not unhomely, yes, you know, it's easy for us to say a woman should be homely. So the woman to look out for is
if someone is unhomely.
Unhomely.
If someone is unhomely, is a vice. Okay.
The vice. And usually we look at that homeliness and we just expect only women to be homely. But a man needs to be homely. And women, you need to understand that it's not about him being, you know, taking over, being or emasculating someone. Because usually when people hear that, they think you want to emasculate me or that. No, it's about caring for, taking responsibility for his home. Understanding that, yes, I need to put a roof over my family's head, and I need to also pay attention to the things that are going on there. And then I should pay attention to my children, what's going on with the children's homework, something like homework. It's not left for women and all that. But as a single person, how you would know is someone, for instance, the home that he lives is well put together. There are things that he puts into his mind. You know, there's some home. What I will use to explain it is that if someone lacks warmth, if someone lacks, you know, the intimacy and things regarding family, things regarding, you know, the home, And when you're single, what you should watch out for is somebody, how he responds to his siblings, for instance, his parents, how he takes responsibility in the home, how he thinks about his parents, how he thinks about their upkeep, what's happening. You will be able to know someone who will be homely by the concern he has. And so when that guy becomes a father, he's the kind of person that will even mind when the light bulbs are off and things. He doesn't just leave it. He makes sure that everything in the home is put in order. And then even his children he has warmth. They come to him when he comes back from the home, from the work or wherever, and he comes back. The children can run to him. He's warm. He has that sense of family, that sense of closeness. That's what an unhomeliness. So watch out for an unhomely person. Watch out for an unhomely person so that you will not have to be wondering later on. And then finally, the final thing I will say now because of time is unkempt. If a man is unkempt, if he's untidy, if he doesn't pay attention, he has a disheveled appearance, he's not too bothered about how he looks or how he presents, you need to really watch that out. Sometimes, we can look at it and say, maybe from upbringing, this is how the guy is. But really, someone who knows where he's going to, someone who is a leader, someone who has to show up all the time, the way he shows up, he has to pay attention to that. And if someone does not care about that, that's a red flag to look at. But, it's something that can be worked on. So, when someone is neglects his look and all that, watch out for that. So that's the 5 I can share now, because the list is not exhaustive. There's so many other things to look out for. But, with these 5 that I've listed, I think to an extent we've gone to cover some of the things to look out for when your answer is supposed to be not to be. All right, Chinwe.
Wow. Thank you, Ruthie. Wow. Ruthie, the prof. Okay, so we've heard from the from the guy's side what they should be,
Yes.
what they should not be, and I'll just summarize. But my quote from Ruthie, I really liked the way you said petty means majoring on the minors and minoring on the majors. Wow. And then it's about caring in an unkind way. That's a very good one. Okay, so I'm going to try and list what Ada had mentioned and what Ruthie had mentioned before we go to the ladies' side. But guess what? If you're taking notes, and I believe everyone should be taking notes, what you can do is, if you have someone in your life that you want to use to check, if this person has the attributes or the vices. So for the list Ada shared, for each one, if you find that the person has it, just put a +1. And for the vices, put a -1, not just 0, because it has to just be -1 for you to really get the right score. Nobody wants to be 0. So you're either on the positive or on the negative. So I took some notes. So Ada had mentioned attributes for the man, okay? He should be a leader, he should be generous, he should be diligent, sensitive, and independent. And then Ruthie has explained to us 5 things a man should not be. So should not be petty, malicious, undisciplined, unhomely, and unkempt. And like she said, people might have been surprised about the unhomely and unkempt thing, thinking it's only women that should, package themselves and, take, yeah. So these are things that are very important, And then, when she was talking about, the date, the month, the year.
What happened to Chinwe?
I was actually wondering if it was me.
No, I think it's C.
Sorry.
I'm so happy for me.
Network.
Hope she didn't go off the radar.
No, she's back. Back.
All right, so we'll just move on to the ladies now. So what I will say is, you can ask.
Kara,
can any attributes that you think should be for the lady? Over to you. Thanks.
I'm here.
All right.
Oh,
Kara.
in case your card, I said, yeah.
I was calling Kara to bail out when we were no longer seeing you on the radar.
Oh, okay. I'm back. No weapon, eh? Like what you say. Also, Casey, what are the 5 things a lady should be to be marriage material?
Wow.
You know? Yeah.
Wow. Good evening, everyone. Again, it's good to be here. That's a powerful question to ask, especially in this day and time where beauty is for sale. The Holy Book says charm is deceitful, beauty is vain. He said, but a woman that fears the Lord, she shall be praised. And I had to bring up that scripture because it's beautiful for a woman to be beautiful, but the chase for beauty, in the world today is on the extreme. It's overboard. And we have, like Ruthie asserted, it's not even only the men majoring on the minors. Women also now are beginning to major on the minors. And so that was why I had to start with that wisdom quote from the Holy Book. That charm is deceitful. I'm sure you've seen some of these pictures where you see makeup artists do before and after, and you see the kind of transformation that comes up. So that clearly tells you that the Holy Book knows what it is saying when it says charm is deceitful, beauty is vain, but a woman that fears the Lord, she shall be praised. So I would like to, share this with an acronym, and that acronym is simply GRACE. 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 So the G starts with God-fearing. The number 1 trait a woman should have is to be God-fearing. And this is not me dancing around religious lines. This is me saying it as it should be. A woman should be God-fearing. And when I say God-fearing, I don't mean maybe a cantankerous woman disturbing her neighbors, shouting, screaming, claiming everybody is a witch, everybody should die, and all of those things. That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying a woman that fears the Lord. I'm saying a woman that understands counsel, the counsel of the Lord. A woman that understands that a man is a symbol of authority over her life. A woman that understands that, I cannot pervert justice. A woman that understands that I am a pillar. A woman that understands that I must submit to the will of God in all ramifications. That is who, with that kind of woman, you are sure to scale mountains. So that's God-fearing. The second one is R. A woman should be resourceful. A woman by purpose, by design, is to multiply things. You give her a house, she gives you a home. You give her a seed, she gives you a baby. So when a woman who by default is supposed to multiply things cannot be resourceful, then you have a problem there. You can then liken such a woman, to a Horrish woman. I will quote the Holy Book again, just forgive me for today. The Holy Book states that the levy of the prostitute is poverty. So in other words, for men who do side chicks and do all of those things, the wisdom of the Holy Book says the levy the levy of the prostitute is poverty. In other words, you are reduced. Another version says by a Horrish woman, a man, a great man, is reduced to a loaf of bread, right? So when a woman is not resourceful, she, albeit a wife, she's almost likened to a side chick who is a waster.
Wow.
Have you ever seen a side chick helping you to really, really plan your life? Most times what she's helping you to do is to scheme her way, destroy things, get her name on the wheel, get the one she can eat, get the one she can take. Yes, that is what it is. The woman in the home rather would help you build. But when that woman in the home is not resourceful, she can't put her hands to things and turn it around. A woman should touch something and it will turn around. She should enter a house and it becomes beautiful. She should touch, she should be resourceful. A king's mother, in advising the king on the kind of wife to marry, in the Holy Book, Proverbs 31, describes this resourcefulness in full. And many of the attributes given there even negates some of the cultural notions that have been imposed on us today as a woman. So that is being resourceful. A is a woman should be astute. What does that word mean? That word means the ability to assess situations. The ability to, assess situations, notice things. You have heard some people say women are intuitive. In my place, when a woman is not like that, she's aloof. She's an efulef woman. She's aloof. Things hang over her. She can't, her eyes are not on the ground. Forgive my transliteration. I don't know a better English word to use. But a woman, Ada is not here today, but she has a way with these things. Permit me, our audience is not only Igbo, but for the Igbos, they will say, Anya kwesiri ruyala. Anya kwesiri ruwanyala. Your eye cannot be pam, 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 pam up there. You should have what I would rather call native intelligence, right? That is what it means to be astute. You should be able to assess a situation. You should know when to keep calm. You should know when not to blow the lead. You should know when not to, you should be able to assess, clearly observe. And you see, these are some of the traits that you can pass on to the next generation. United Nations carried out a research and they said, if you want to touch a society, if you want to touch a community, right, touch the woman. Why? We are the ones that more often than not are with the kids. And the child experts will tell you, Kara is here, she's one. They will tell you that kids many times do not learn by just what you say. They learn by observation, by what you do. So when a woman is like, forgive me, her eye is not, you will raise children too who are aloof. You will not raise children who can, growing up, you know how a mom just looks. And one look is everybody disappear. Another look, check the generation of children we're raising today. Maybe they're at a party dancing and you're saying, don't eat that sweet. You see the child say, Mommy, what did you say? What are you saying?
Is there something in your eye?
Mommy, is there something in your eye? That thing of, that cleverness, that ability to be sharp-witted. A woman should be astute. That's A. C is that a woman should be chaste. I've been in different circles, of course, as a gender advocate. I've been in different circles where you hear women addressing issues of rebellion and saying what is good for the goose is good for the gander. We live in a generation where men have run amok, chasing everything in skirts, so they too are good to go, men. That's, you see, there's no better definition for stupid. If your values are going to be corrupted by another person's standards or then there's nothing to you really. A woman should be chaste. Chastity is the new sexy. Trust me. Is the new sexy. Today, you see both singles, you see married, at times you thank God for COVID, events have reduced. But you attend some events and you see women in their mid-ages, some a little above the mid-ages, wear things that are totally inappropriate for their shape, for their size. I mean, fashion is supposed to, accentuate what you have. But by the time you're all, tightened up like someone they tied with bandage, all in the name to appear, I don't know who you want to attract. You tell a 60-year-old woman, you look sexy, and she's smiling. Instead of her to get angry, and if possible, throw a slap your way. She's smiling. She's opening. At times, you see the person say, wow, 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 like ambulance. You know, a woman should be chaste. Chastity is still very trendy. You cannot raise a next generation being a Keziah. The E. I don't know if you know what that means. Those of us that schooled in some parts of, in some campuses in Nigeria, is a slang for us. Some will understand it. If you don't, permit me for today. You know, the E is that a woman should be emotionally intelligent, right? You see this thing of men, you live with a man, they say men are from Mars, women are from Venus. A man is logical. They ask you a question, is something wrong? You say nothing. You are sad. You cannot intelligently articulate your needs, right? Your birthday was not remembered, so the whole home will be gloomy. The whole house will be sad. Auntie, announce the birthday yourself. Start singing it from 2 weeks. He does not remember anniversary. Start singing it. Honey, oh, anniversary, oh. And just be singing it. Rather than go gloomy, you know, there's a slang we use for it in Africa. You carry face. My dear, you're not being emotionally intelligent. Be emotionally intelligent. Use your mind. Be mentally assertive. Learn to communicate. Learn to pipe low when need be, you know. As a matter of fact, I say it time and time again, you cannot understand submission very well if you do not understand emotional intelligence. Everywhere you hear people submission, 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 many times we don't even understand the context of being submissive. And I say it many times, if you are a woman who knows nothing, you do not even have an option but to submit. Many people equate timidity to submission. When you have a level of understanding, a degree of understanding, and someone else in the person of an authority figure is saying this is the path to go, and you're like, yes, you follow it through, yes, then you're a submissive woman. It takes being emotionally intelligent to do that. And you're not saying it out of coercion, you're saying it because you have an understanding. So I think that's grace, you know, captured. So if you're thinking about a woman being graceful, is not just knowing how to use your fingers, flip your hair when need be, know when to blink your eyes, you know, and all of those things. Being graceful are some of these attributes I have listed. Thank you, Chinwe.
Wow. Casey, the realist. The YouTube page is buzzing. Let me read out a comment from Jaria. She says, LOL. Casey, ever the realist. I totally agree. We should never lower ourselves to the immoral behavior of others in the name of equity. We must maintain high standards. Yes. We see all of you in YouTube. And let me quote from Casey. Chastity is the new sexy. So everybody has some serious quotes, you know, from today. So we're going to hear from Kara, but before then, let's just acknowledge those watching on YouTube: Stella, Gloria, Chiaka, Jaria, Ona, Oyebola, Carol, and others. We see you. Thank you. Keep the comments going. Now to Kara. Casey has given us the grace breakdown. That's the way I'll call it. I will summarize it later. But Kara, okay, so what not to be for the ladies, huh? Are you telling us that ladies are not perfect? So what are the things that, you know, the 5 not to be for ladies? Kara, the wordsmith. Let's hear from. So now you're on the hot seat. You know, before you be asking us questions anyhow. But I'm happy to ask you, Kara, to share with us what not to be. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, C strategists, the Chronicles of Anishiazu, because this is the woman to run away from. This is the person not to talk about being, yeah? I know we're all on a journey to perfection, but if you're looking for someone to settle down, and if you're a man, I was telling people on Facebook that in as much as we're all women, Powder Room is not just about all women. So if you're a man and you're here, or you have a brother, or you have, you know, someone that you need to advise, these are the sorts of women to go away from. The very first one is a lazy woman. As a matter of fact, if you ask me, laziness and being a woman is a paradox. Those two words are paradoxes. You don't put them in the same sentence. They do not have anything to do with each other. So if if you find a woman who is lazy, you can project, you can prophesy, you can tell very easily how you're going to end up. Because the same way an engine runs a car is the same way work runs a life. So if you're going to sit down and do practically nothing, you're the sort of woman to avoid. When I say laziness, it's not just about taking care of yourself. Yeah, taking care of yourself is also included, but taking care of your home, taking care of your career. Many times we hear of women being odoziako. No, Oriako, yes. That was the first word that Igbos use, the Igbo language. But then they quickly changed it because you cannot be, but I don't know any woman. If I look back at my lineage and our grandmothers and great-grandmothers, aunties, there was never a time when the woman was not bringing in income. I think that's something that is false. When you say true and false, which one is real, which one is a lie? Many times we feel that women have gone to the workplace after the Industrial Revolution, when the men went to war and the women had to go into the industries so that they could be a balance. That's not true. Our great-grandfathers, I had a grandmother who was a yam farmer, so she would always go and she would sell the yam and bring in money. So that you're supporting in a home is nothing new, it's nothing fancy, it's nothing to clap for. So if you're a lady that sits and you prefer to be, taking care of what they call them again, trophy wives, or you're a trophy girlfriend, you're the one that crosses your leg, your fingernails are as long as forever, they go on to infinitum. You can't do anything, you can't even type a text, you can't wash, you can't cook, you can't You're the sort of people to avoid and to run away from. When I'm talking about laziness, your whole life will not run smoothly. How much more any other person that comes to, because a woman is powerful. I can't say that enough. Powerful. The fact that God made us the weaker vessel doesn't mean that he made us the weaker spirits. Women are built to last. They are not made in China. So if you find one that has consciously made herself to be, to not to try to do anything, she's just a trophy wife, her nails are long, she tells she sends people around, run as far as you can. She is not wife material, and guess what? She is not friend material. And if you're that sort of person, it's totally okay. Know that this is something you must jump, fly, run out of. There's another topic that we're going to handle very soon in the powder room, and that topic says men do not fall in love. I can't wait to get to that topic, because you kind of you will understand all the things we're sharing with you today. Number two, a woman is akin to making little investments in yourself. That is what. So when you find a woman that is lacking in knowledge, she can't even discuss anything, not her area of study in university, not the things that she's particularly interested in. If you find a woman that says, I'm into making hats, she should know everything about making hats. She should be able to discuss the materials, the designs, the change, the history, the transformation, the African slant, everything regarding that area of her expertise should be what is in her head. And then she expands that knowledge to other areas. You don't sit in one area of knowledge. A woman is not an expert in one thing. She's an expert in many things, because you have to juggle many things. I remember a time when I decided I had to learn, I went to a hotel, yeah, and then I just gotten married, yes, and I went to a hotel. My husband won a competition, and we had to spend 2 days in a hotel. Beautiful hotel, somewhere in Lagos, Ikeja. And by the time we're going back home, my husband was depressed. I was depressed. And we didn't know why we were both depressed. And we got home and we're like, what is going on? Are you feeling sad? Yes. Am I feeling sad? And we had to think about it. Why are we feeling sad? Because we found out that the environment of the hotel was very different and separate from the environment of my home. Wow. My husband didn't tell me, Karachi, your home is Sakoche. He didn't say that. But the fact that he was sad enough to come home, I had to borrow myself sense, and I had to go and start studying it. Like, what should I gave myself 1 year at that hotel. I started saving. One day I'll buy throw pillow. The next day I'll buy a potted plant. The next day I'll buy something else that will make my home. Gradually, my home became the spot for pre-wedding photo shoots. You cannot, so I just told you that stay away from a foolish woman. Now, don't run away from a woman who makes mistakes. Those are two different things. Everyone is human. We do make mistakes. But when I say foolish, run away from the woman who refuses to learn. Run away from the woman who refuses to grow. Because it's one thing to understand that you don't have something, but it's another thing for you to realize it and then to run and search for it. The foolish woman will not run and search for anything. She is comfortable in her, in the mess, chapter 5. It says, if you lack wisdom, ask of me, for I give freely and I upbraided not. That's one of my favorite scriptures. And I had it because I used to envy Casey. Casey is the sort of person that, oh my God, if you call Casey and say, Casey, please, I want to cook pepper soup that has rice, she'll say, okay, sit down. The first thing you should do, there is nothing you ask her she doesn't have counsel about. I said, Lord, I want to be like that. How can someone come and ask me a question? If my husband comes to me and asks me a question, let me tell you something about men. They're very logical. You always tell men, consult your wife. If your wife is foolish, don't consult her. So you can imagine you consult your wife the first time and your wife gives you a foolish counsel. Will you come back again tomorrow? You will not. You will run and consult somebody else who will give you a wise counsel. So for me, that was a fear. I said, Lord, if they ask me, should I know that's a good area? So I started praying the polite prayers. I'm sorry that I'm referring to the good book, but just like what my sisters have said, that's what drives our lives. So I started praying. That's, Ephesians chapter 1, verse 17. Find all those, they call them the Pauline prayers. You can find them on the internet. Pray them for yourself. I said, Lord, I want wisdom. I can't be a foolish girl. So I wasn't always a wise girl, but I learned to add that. So run away from people who are not only foolish, but are refusing to learn. Number 3, run away from those that are financially illiterate. IT has already touched on it. A woman is naturally a multiplier. And the good book also said, he that marries, findeth a wife, findeth a good thing, and does what? Obtain. So if they start dating you, and all of a sudden, the account is always on the red. You are the one taking them to the most expensive restaurants. You're the one always demanding for the most expensive gifts. And then when it's time for their own birthday, you've killed the poor man with boxers. Enough of boxers. Enough of being financially illiterate. Go and gather yourself together. Understand how to help a man. See, when you're dating a man, I know we're not talking about dating. And we said these are, I call my own chronicles of Maliciousness. But remember what I said, Ishazu means, that women are compared to fishhead because we don't always think deep. Hopefully there's nobody like that in the powder room tonight. But here's what I want to sit on. As a lady, you must understand what saving looks like. You must understand what investments look like. You must know when there's a treasury bill. Is that what's sounding like French to you? You should know when to move your investment from one money market to another. You should know when a savings in the bank has a lower interest rate than another one that maybe is in an investment house, maybe a bit more risky. You should have these sort of conversations with your friends. I've not always been I'm a very good to increase your wealth.
Oh. No. We can't be Sarah
to search for these things. And even if you don't care, make friends that are financially literate. Make friends for people. Make friends with people who understand. There's a friend I have. She calculates at the beginning of the year because I believe in paying my first fruits. Part of financial literacy is that you don't rob God. The Bible talks about giving, paying your tithe and paying your first fruits. A wise woman understands the power of my salary at the beginning of the year, because there's some companies and some places of work where it says that you don't get in your regular pay. Yeah, I send it to her. She calculates what is your first fruits, what is your tithe, what is your da. And she sends it back to me, and I pay it exactly as is. And I have my conversations with her. What do you think about treasury bills? Should I move to a money market here? See, Pastor Funke Adejumo, very lovely woman. I love listening to her. She said a wise woman is the one that will hide money and join her husband to look for it. So what that means is a wise woman, when we're broke, my husband asks me, actually, do we have money? Question means, do we have, to me, the way I hear it is not do we have money. The way I hear it is, do we have disposable income? Disposable income is different from do we have money. Because many times we have money, but that money has an assignment. That money is either for a savings or for a project, and someone's going to bring it out. He knows once any money enters Karachi's hand and that money has a purpose, it's not going to come out again. So when he asks me and I say no, you look at me again. Karachi, do we have money? So please, if you're a man, run away from any woman who is not financially literate and who is not looking to learn. So please always make sure you're looking to learn. Be a multiplier. Casey has already told, what is your husband? I don't even manage your own funds. I remember when God was taking me on this work of managing my own funds, he made me write down for 2 years every single kobo I spent. I had a book on expenses. Every month I would write Maggi, 20 naira, DDD, 30 naira. And I'll now check how much I gave and how much I spent. And that will help me measure what my life is looking like financially until I learned to do it internally without writing it down. So before you even marry, what minus marriage, become a manager of your own funds, so that eventually when the man comes you're a good thing. A good thing is not faith. Hey, Kathy, sorry, I was about to speak in tongues. A good thing is not faith, though. A good thing is by works. It's tangible. It's literal. You can see it. And men can see when a woman is a good thing or not. So be financially literate. Number 4, vanity. Run away from a woman that is vain, please. Run for your life. Vanity is, I know it talks about someone who always speaks to their beauty and their achievements in life, but it talks also about shallowness. You're shallow, you're skin deep. If people meet you, you're not beyond what you look like. You're not beyond the image you project on social media. There's very little to you. You know, that's the kind of said if you eventually end up marrying that sort of woman. So a vain person always looking at themselves, you know, this hashtag killer gang, they're always on Bob mummies. I don't even know what to call them. They're always on social media. Their pictures are always on. There's nothing that they discuss that speaks of depth, that speaks of passion, that speaks of purpose. If you want to know a woman that is deeper, she speaks very little about her appearance. Also, sometimes very little about her achievements, except they are feeding to solving her in that capacity. But when you find a woman that is driven by a passion, I don't care what that passion is, but you see that she's always talking about the same thing. She's always developing it. She's always, moving it. That's the woman that is deep, because it takes sustained energy in one direction to make an impact. That's what force means. So don't be a vain person and run away from people who have their own appearance or their own, appearance. So live beyond yourself. Life doesn't revolve around you. Then the final thing I'll talk about is run away from a divisive woman. I can't overemphasize this. This is a woman that always, it says a woman that causes disagreements and hostility between people. Don't be that sort of person and run away from that sort of person. Anytime she's in a clique, in a group, in a conversation at her, there's always going to be some sort of controversy. She's always looking for how to stir up trouble. She's always stirring up trouble in the whatever, always speaking to people's weaknesses, always gossiping, cannot keep a secret. So run away from this sort of women. Do not, what's the word? Begin a conscious walk to be the opposite of these things. I see the strategy studies at the very beginning, how even though we're talking about what to be, you can know what not to be. And if we're talking about what not to be, you kind of like have an idea. Be the person that always brings family together. People, don't worry, I will talk to them. Never like side on one side, or you always seem to be good. No, always be the person that's saying, are you serious? So I'm sure she didn't mean it like that. Be the person making an excuse for the other person. And when your husband is talking about the relative, be the one making an excuse for the relative, because those sorts of skills, you can't learn them. And for being divisive, the last thing I'll say is have battles, because sometimes you don't necessarily go looking for doors. Choose not to be divisive. Choose your battles. Sit out for the ones you can sit out for. Yeah, and so that's it. My Chronicles of Maliciousness.
Whoa, Tara, we need to get a moderator so that we can be hearing from you more often. Wow, thank you. So Karachi gave us Chronicles of an Ishiazo, a fish head, fish brain. Casey is always saying a lot of women are fish brain.
Oh no, that's offensive. That is offensive.
No. Okay, let me rephrase. When you say something that is not intelligent, Casey will say that's a fish brain. Blah, blah, blah. So fish brain is a description of anyone that is not intelligent. So it's fine. Casey got me there. Wow, Karachi, nice one. So there's something you said. A woman is not an expert in one thing. She's an expert in many things. And people in the YouTube chat actually agree with you. Wow. Quite a number of comments there, but we're short of time. Okay. So if we go to what Casey shared the grace breakdown, GRACE. A woman should be God-fearing, resourceful, astute, chaste, and emotionally intelligent. And Karachi said you should not be lazy, foolish, financially illiterate, vain, shallow, divisive. Remember, we gave the attributes and said these are things to be, and the vices are things not to be. Meaning that when you see those vices, run away. But now I was thinking to myself, when Karachi was saying, run away from a foolish person, run away from a lazy person. And I said, okay, what if a lady is listening and she said, all these things you're describing, I am ticking 000 minus 1. You cannot run away from yourself, right?
That's the sage.
That's the sage just joined us.
Sage is here.
That's the sage.
I just said, let me just show face.
Nice, wow. Good to have you log in.
Thanks for joining. So we're going to hear from Madam Sage shortly. Okay. So we're actually supposed to be rounding up because our time is up. But, so if you feel that you identify with these vices and the vices actually describe you, like I think it was Casey, the realist, or Karachi, or someone that said that these things can be learned. You can learn how to be, and you can unlearn how not to be. So use this as your checklist, use it as your target list, okay? Checklist to check, who are these people I'm getting close to? Who am I getting committed to? Who have I said yes to in the area of marriage, and should I retract that yes? So there's a question for the room. And Ruthie the prof, maybe I should throw it to you, okay? And anyone can chip in. So what happens to someone who has listened to us now and is saying, I've actually said yes to marry someone I should be running away from, okay? What do I do? We are engaged, families are involved, perhaps 6 dates. What to do? To be or not to be? Ruthie the prof, help us, and then others can chip in.
Okay, thank you very much for that question, because actually the question came to my mind when I was listing out the things not to be for a guy. And it was at the top of my lip, and I just felt, oh, I hope would have the opportunity to address this. As I was listing them down, looking at the list, I could see that there are actually things that can be learned. But there are some of the things on that list that is not something that can be learned per se. And what I will use to differentiate between the two is there are compromisable issues, and then there are the non-compromisables. So you need to look at it from our lists and from everything that we have shared now. There are some things that are fundamental issues with the character of a person, things that you cannot change. When a man, for instance, let me use the list that I used. When a man, for instance, is malicious, there's little you can do to change that, because it is something that comes from the heart. It is something that is a deep-seated issue that it's embedded in the soul of the person. It has to do. This is something that I'm sorry to say, but this is something that only God can change, because sometimes we make the mistake to think that somebody can easily change. And so you say yes because you feel that something like maliciousness, for instance, can be changed. Think about it. How would you particularly change something like that? You know, it requires the person to go through a transformation, a complete turnaround. So you need to look at those lists, but and find out, is this thing is it a fundamental character issue, or does it have to do with maybe upbringing or culture? Because when you look at something like being unkempt, it's possible that the person came from a background where they were not particularly taught how to, you know, put themselves together. And so those are, when you compare maliciousness with unkemptness, you will know that there's one that I cannot compromise on. But the other one about being unkempt, for instance, can be, you know, it's something you can teach the person. If the person is teachable, because, you know, so there are guys who are too prideful, because that's another thing to run away from. If somebody's ego is in the place, is always on the way, you know, you're trying to tell the person, so they cannot even see themselves, because there are things that are wrong with you. You can't see it. The reason why that woman is coming into your life as a man is to help you see those parts you can't see and help you, you know, correct them. And so even if she's pointing out things that you need to do, you need to be teachable. A man that is not teachable, you know, I'm bringing some other things too. A man that is not teachable, there's a lot that can't really change. And then when you leave those things and assume they will just evaporate, they will not evaporate. Those things are from the heart. And until that person can at least have that disposition to receive help to change. So you look at those things, find out what is compromisable. Is it a character issue? Is it a like being undisciplined, for instance? It's a deep issue. It takes a long time to develop discipline. And so it's not something that somebody will just develop overnight. So if you see somebody undisciplined that you know you cannot handle, that there's so many issues where that person can't stay on track. The person's eyes are roaming, the person's temper is everywhere, the person just can't be, you know, this person hasn't learned discipline. You know, there's the good book we say, the person we follow, he learned discipline by the things he suffered. This man hasn't gone through something. This man has been allowed to run free, has been, you know, no consequence mindset, nothing. You know, when you see such people, please run away, because these things can be developed overnight. But you know, when you see someone that doesn't dress well and he has those issues, those ones can be changed. So compromisable and non-compromisable. The compromisable ones, run away. Non-compromisable, put an effort to see if it can be adjusted. That's my answer.
Fantastic. Thank you, Ruthie the Prof. It's just like, you know, the foundation of a building versus, you know, furniture and all that. Things that can be taught and things that are fundamental. Thank you so much. I know that Kara, Casey, and Ada would have one or two things to say while we round up. So chip in, please. Ada the sage.
A lot has been said. Hi guys, I didn't know I was going to be able to join. A lot has been said. Yes, but I'm going to put it in, you know, so that people can go home with something tangible. 2 proverbs. There are 2 groups of people listening to us today. The ones who, for ulterior reasons and short-term benefits, they will jettison these pointers that we are trying to make open and want to put their head and say, I will see the end of it. This guy, they will ignore the signs and moving. And those people belong to this group, I will say in a proverb. Your attitude to what Ruth, the prof, could be, meaning, are we going to, because of the fear of all these so-called vices, the guy I want to marry looks like he has, am I going to say because I'm afraid of those vices, then I will enter. I go see the end. I like the guy, he gets money, I go follow him. Some people have that attitude. I hope you're not in that group. Then there's the other group of people that belong to the other proverb that say, do you tell a deaf person that there's battle, that there's war? When there is war, I think it was the story in the good book, there were 2 lepers. When people started scampering and running, nobody needed to tell them that it's time to take off. So so the second group of people are the people that I'm saying to, a deaf man, so please, you have 2 things, but in all of these things, my own closing thought is this, and that's another proverb. We're having a very hard talk today because a lot of people are going to have to go back home, and for some people, really pull the rug and pull the plug on a relationship because it's heading nowhere. And there's nothing, they say a broken relationship is better than a broken marriage. The pain of regret is always better, of discipline is always better than the pain of regret. As the whoopper came with no faith, cut the cancerous part off early before the thing metastasizes and kills the body. So it's your choice. So this is a classic situation of, asokateze. That's what we are doing today. Because I'm sure your friends would have been telling you that this boy I'm dating, no road there. This lady, also there's no road, but you just want to keep going. So what we've done today is we are no more afraid to tell you the truth. We're telling you the truth. If you keep running from, everybody doesn't want to tell the chief the truth, but one day somebody will carry a basket on his head like a madman. That's what I mean by Ofoge. Also, when you brew Katanishi Kunyala, with you and tell him the truth. That's what we've done today. So I hope you guys have had fun.
Ada the stage. Thank you for that. Wow. Heavy words, but very true. Thank you, Ada. Kara, you want to say something as we round up?
Kara, are you there? This summer, are you there?
Are you there?
Yes, can you guys hear me? Please confirm you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Go ahead.
All right, thank you. That was just amazing. You see why we miss you. Let me give you guys the literal meaning of what one of the proverbs Ada gave. She said, remove the monkey's hand from the pot of soup. Otherwise, it will turn into Ada for that. And I think I totally agree with everything my sisters have said. The prof, the saint, everything. Don't marry people to change them. That is the one thing, one advice I would just want to drop here tonight. That is a journey in futility. Frustration is trying to exert your influence on an area that is outside your that is within your control. That's what frustration that you cannot handle. You see, it's different for different people. Just like what Prof said as well. For some people that you're stingy, they can manage it. Some others that you're stingy, they cannot manage it. So don't say because this sister managed it, be true to yourself and know what can you handle and what can you not handle. And so if you find out that, don't get in and say, I will change him. He'll be a giver or he's going to love God. by the time he sees me, I will pray for him. You know, stop saying that. You will be very frustrated. Second thing I want to say. So I guess I said that to say, when it comes to who not to be or who not to be with, don't try to change that. Don't try to change. But if there are other ones, don't go. That's utility. But if you say who not to be for your own gender, that is being the right person, and you'll attract the right person. Then secondly, I want to say, discuss your concerns. Very important. Communicate. If you're in a relationship and you find that these things are an issue, have a real conversation. That's what a relationship, I don't know what people are doing in relationship these days, taking pictures and hanging out and doing all sorts of things. This is the time to have interviews.
Photo shoots.
Photo shoots.
Photo shoots, and I don't understand. Posing onto what I do not know. So please ask the hard questions. Let him know what your concerns and and it's an effort in those areas. And advise yourself, as well. And finally, okay, I think I've already said that. I said some items are subjective. What might not be important to somebody might be important to you, so know yourself and know what is key to you, and then do not be apologetic about it as well. However, be moderate, manage it small, auntie, please. So thank you very much.
Auntie. Thank you, Kara, the wordsmith. Fantastic. We'll hear from Casey, the realist. And there's something Kara said before Casey makes her final concluding remarks. You said that there's some things that are important to some people that are not, and these are the compromisable ones. Some rank higher for some people than the other, and point us towards things about compatibility. And I just wanted to say that it's something we've identified as what we would discuss in another episode, not next week, but another episode where we'll go through different levels of compatibility, and that will help people, make a more informed decision. So over to you, Casey, the realist.
All right, a quick one. I think we have overshot. A quick one. The Holy Book, the maker of the woman. I will refer to the Holy Book because we're describing the woman, right? We're describing a creation. The Holy Book describes a woman or exhorts a woman to be dressed with strength. I say this because it's the exact opposite of what the society, of what the world teaches us today. So where you have vain things, where you have things that are not deep, where you have things that are not, that cannot be held, things that are slippery, that's where you should find women. But your maker says you are a pillar. That is one of the descriptions of a woman. And so my parting word would be, what is a pillar made of, right? Develop yourself, build yourself, grow yourself. Know that you are important. Kara the wordsmith described you as powerful. You are powerful. And of course, not that you're powerful like we also know it today. Remember, in describing meekness, right, strength is attributed also. And that's why meekness is described as strength being under control. So meekness is not maybe you're foolish, you're timid, you're a mumuish somebody, or you're a fish brain somebody. Then we say you are meek and quiet, right? We say you are meek when you have power, when you are strong, when you're a woman dressed with strength, yet it can be under control. So develop yourself along those lines. That is the definition of you. The definition of you is not what Kim Kardashian said, or what Beyonce put up, or what Tiwa Savage has said, or Toke Makinwa. The description of you is that you are a woman dressed with strength, a polished pillar. And that is the description you should build by. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Casey the Realist. Our time is up. This is the end of the 8th edition of the Powder Room, to be or not to be. So we're going to just conclude by saying goodbye, everyone. But guess what? Next week's topic, we are not announcing today. Why? You need to follow us on Instagram at Powder Room Chat. You need to follow us on Facebook. We have a Facebook page. You need to subscribe to this channel. So those of you watching, if you've not subscribed, just click on the subscribe button. And for every episode that you watch, please click on the thumbs up button to say that you like what we're doing here. And then if you have any questions or comments, or if you want to suggest some topics for us to address in subsequent episodes, okay, please send us an email, hello@powderroom.com. Like I would say, hello@powderroom.com, because it's double R. That's our email address. And thank you to all who have sent us emails. God bless you for your comments. We receive WhatsApp messages, DMs all the time. Okay, so thank you for your comments. And just to hail those in the YouTube channel and on Facebook watching us, we see you all. Uncle Charles Mba, we see you. Husband of the Powder Room. He said, Umwada Jesus. We see you, sir. Thank you very much. We see Jennifer. Oh, Mommy Bango was about to happen. Mommy, we see you. I know our moms are watching, all the moms and the husbands. We hail you. Thank you. And some of the children of the Powder Room are also watching. So thank you very much. We love you. And from all of us here, we're saying bye.
Au revoir.
Have a fantastic week. And see you 7 p.m. next week, Saturday. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Saturday is worth that you are beautiful. And you go in places that you never dreamed. You said that you're the first, not the last. So don't believe those lies and those illusions. They're lies and just illusions. God made you beautiful. Saturday is worth that you are beautiful. And you go in places that you never dreamed. You said that you're the first, not the last. So don't believe those lies and those illusions. They're lies and just illusions. God made you beautiful. Saturday is worth that you are beautiful. And you go in places that you never dreamed. You said that you're the first, not the last. So don't believe those lies and those illusions.